we're going right into the next session. Thank you everyone for your thoughtful comments, and I'll turn it over.
Hey everyone, I am Sarah Sebo, and get strapped in for an exciting 5 papers. These are papers on the subject of families, and our first presenter is B.Cagiltay, who's from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who's going to be presenting Toward Family-Robot Interactions, a family-centered framework in HRI.
Is this on? Okay. Thank you for the introduction, Sarah. My name is B.Cagiltay, and I am a PhD candidate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Today I'm here with my advisor, B.Cagiltay, and I'll be presenting my work on proposing a family-centered framework in HRI. For some context, in my research, I'm interested in exploring how robots embedded into family homes can enable connection making between family members by facilitating shared family activities. To do this, we develop design requirements for social robots, and then we study how children and families interact with the technology. However, when we put robots into the homes, we quickly realize how complex and dynamic of an environment it is. Sorry. Homes are not just physically complex, they're also socially complex, including different family members with many needs, roles, these environments are also not static, as they keep changing over time. So I argue that as we're moving towards more real-world HRI applications, robots need to be designed for the entire family and the physical environment that they're situated in. To give you a little bit more of context, I'll show you an example from a study where we recorded families' experiences unboxing a social robot for the first time. Here you'll see family members coming in and out and in the somewhat chaotic environment and changes happening.
And here's where we turn up the volume.
So who do we design for in this setting? Do we design for that older child that's trying to engage with the robot? Do we design for the siblings that are curiously trying to be involved in? Or do we design for the family members, the parents that are trying to manage the situation? Given this problem space, I asked this question: how can we design and evaluate social robots for families? And mainly, the gap in the field is that we have limited guidance on methods, theories, and frameworks. And that's what I propose today, a framework that will help us serve as a first step for thinking about family-robot interactions. To explore this space, we conducted a literature review. We followed the PRISMA method and reviewed 198 papers. You can find the details of these papers in the paper, as I won't be going into them today. What I want to dive in today is the process that we followed for developing our proposed framework. For this, we selected a subset of papers that captured studies with including children and family members, either as active participants, interacting with a social robot, or situated in a real-world setting. So let's move on to how we constructed our family-robot interaction framework. For this, we followed a deductive approach, leveraging existing family theories. The construction of our approach included 3 core systems. First, the family system. Second, the robot system. And third, the contextual system. To construct these, we first applied family systems theory from Bowen. This theory argues that families are complex and connected systems of individuals, each with their own unique roles, goals, needs, and relationships. This theory also argues that any change in an individual's behaviors or state will also affect the entire system. So moving on from this perspective, we propose that social robots embedded into the home can also be connected to this family system, and robots will have their own roles, goals, and processes. Similarly, any change in the robot's behavior or state will also affect the entire system. Second, we borrowed insights from the family ecological model from Bronfenbrenner. This model argues that several levels of ecological factors will shape interactions and behaviors of family members. These factors might range from macro level factors to micro level factors, which might relate to societal elements like politics or culture, environmental factors like the media, the school that the children go to, the neighborhood that they live in, or the interactions within their immediate surroundings between families and robots within the home. So we bring this perspective to our framework and we propose this contextual system which captures this physical environments that the family-robot interaction takes place. And I argue that understanding these ecological factors are necessary for understanding how robots function within families. Moving on, let's explore in ways we can operationalize this framework. So we believe that our framework can serve two key use cases. First, understanding existing family-robot interaction applications. And second, envisioning and designing future applications for family-robot interaction. For this first use case, we leveraged the literature review that I presented and mentioned earlier, and we explored how this prior work instantiates our framework. So as a way to understand family-robot interactions, we first grouped these papers into two core categories. First, papers that show evidence how changes in the family system can influence the robot system. And then second, how changes in the robot system can influence the family system. Today I'm going to refer to 6 examples that we used to inform the framework, but the full comprehensive list is also in the paper. So let's put these papers in the context of our framework. For example, these studies took place in various contexts like the home, hospital, museum, or a playroom. And from these studies, we identified several family characteristics, for example, changes in family routines, changes in children's health conditions, and parents' STEM backgrounds. Some robot characteristics we identified were emotion expressions, nonverbal communication styles, and also the ability to support long-distance connections through play. So by identifying and understanding these characteristics, we can inform the design of social robots and then further design robot interactions that can support the family life. Second application, I will leave this example kind of imagining this representation and envisioning the design of future applications for family-robot interactions. Here on the left, we can see 2 siblings having a conversation with the robot where the older sibling seems to be disengaged. On the right, we see a child, a parent, a grandparent playing a board game facilitated by a robot. And in this case, perhaps we can explore how a robot can notice different engagement levels among siblings, and it can proactively invite less engaged siblings into the interaction. Or we can maybe design robot-facilitated activities that can afford to transition across to more age-appropriate actions among children, parents, and grandparents. That wraps up my talk, but I'm really curious to hear if you have any ideas how we can expand, modify, or apply this framework. I'd love to chat. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Questions for Bengisu? I see we have one right here.
So thank you for the really interesting talk and new framework. I'm just curious, when you're talking about families, you were kind of showing mainly families who are in the home, co-present with the child. Are you also considering, potentially remote family members, grandparents, who knows, different kinds of family structures? Can you tell us a bit?
My motivation was, of course, given my work, was within the home, but while setting the framework, we do want to consider that the contextual system, you can set it up as any way that your work necessitates or whatever the work you're analyzing considers. So actually one of the examples, I didn't really mention it, but this second paper happened both in the home and in the hospital. So there was a non-co-located child that was in the hospital, and the robot was within the home. So yes. Yeah.
And one last question over here.
So families are really messy businesses. I mean, this is such a clean, nice example of love and everything. But in a family, a lot of times, like, you might have a family dog that acts as a mediator and helps smooth out relationships when somebody's upset. Do you ever foresee having a social robot in the family context of acting like your friendly Labrador retriever that calms everybody down?
Why not? Yeah, of course. I mean, we are looking into some of the use cases of, how can robots facilitate? I mean, my main motivation in my research is to see how robots can facilitate connection making and social interactions within family members. So an aspect of that could be, a mediator to mediate difficult conversations. It can be through play. It can be through shared activities. I guess this is kind of like a step towards looking at the broader complex family system, and it is strongly motivated by some of our prior work where we realized when you put a robot in the home, you can't expect just one child to interact with it. It becomes the whole family that becomes a part of that interaction. So, yeah.
Let's thank our speaker one more time. And our next talk is by